garden friends, welcome to Flower Patch. We are going to take a front garden tour at the beginning of the garden season because it's going to change. I had started working on it last year and then stopped when winter started, of course. We got the rock wall replaced, the one that was falling down and crumbling. I am going to remove, there's a chicken pen up there right now, we're going to get that removed. And then I think I'm putting a bench there with an arbor, but I'll walk you through everything that's going on right now, and then you can see how it progresses through the summer. Alrighty, let's get on to the front garden tour. So let's start right here. The tulips are doing beautifully. Some of these were left over from last year. I got them from Color Blends. The white ones with the pink striping. We'll get up closer here in a minute. I don't walk and talk at the same time very well, so I'm just going to avoid that. Anyways, the red are from Longfield Gardens. I picked up at the end of the season, you know, when things are going on clearance, and I think these are the red Emperor Tulips. Now, in the past, they have done really well at coming back for me year after year for several years, and so I got those. They're all looking a little beat up right now because of the freeze and snow we had after we had some unprecedented warm temperatures. It made everything start to bloom. Then we dropped down into the 20s. Lots of things froze. And then we got snow, which then smushed them. So everything's looking a little sad, but it's still pretty. Let's go on up, get a closer look. So here we are. All the pinks are from a collection from Color Blends. I don't remember what it was. If I can find it, I will put it up. If not, they're just pretty. In of themselves, all of my new irises I put in are along here. These came from Sutton's Iris Gardens in Idaho. I would love to go up there and take a tour of their iris gardens, but I kind of doubt we're going to have time to do that. Lots going on this next month. But the daffodils I also got from Longfield Gardens. I got a naturalizing mix and popped them all around. And I'm really going to lean towards more daffodils in the future because they do return year after year without me having to put a lot of effort into it. And they just really bring a spark of joy in the early spring in my garden. Now up here, let me walk slow so it's not too jiggly, but my black lace elderberry down there is doing beautifully. It looks a little singed from the cold, and then next to it is a Limelight Hydrangea that some of the little canes got busted off with the snow because, you know, they weren't sturdy enough yet. They were fresh and green and gave up the ghost under the heavy weight of the snow. Down there is my phlox. I need to divide this one, and I will probably video that so I can show people how I divide phlox in the spring to get more. This is obviously a hybrid because I have not had any come up from seed. Yeah, I let this go, let it go to seed, but none have come up. So I got this a long, long time ago, and I don't know which one it is, but it's a beautiful purple, fuchsia purple, and it doesn't go to seed. So if you're wanting to try phlox, but you don't want to have to deal with them seeding, make sure you find one that is hybrid or sterile. Okay, one of my delphiniums over there is coming up and doing beautifully. Made it past the slugs. That's my main problem with slugs. Well, I shouldn't say main because my ones in the back got eaten by gophers. I'm going to show you some other damage on my other limelights. I'm going to walk around to the road over there and show you. On the way, look at this poor hydrangea. It was leafing out and it really got zapped, but I see more growth down there at the base. So I don't know, this was given to me by a friend. I don't know what it is exactly and if it will rebloom, but I have a feeling I won't get blooms this year. But I'm always pleasantly surprised. I'm loving this little quarter barrel. You see it's a little barrel, and it's filled with Creeping Charlie and Creeping Jenny and some beautiful sedum, and in the middle there's a pretty little dianthus. This is that ground cover rose. It's white. and it gets huge canes, so I decided to grow it up this obelisk. This was the very first obelisk I built several years ago, and it's still going strong, though the purple paint has come off. I kind of like the rustic wood now. Okay, down here in front, this is my huge hardy geranium. That's one plant I would recommend for many people. This is Roseanne. I have a few others too in different colors, but they're Roseanne. And you can see all of this down here, this woody, that is where it bloomed out to. And then of course it dies back in the winter, and then it comes back and it blooms nonstop from the time it starts till it ends. This is a heirloom rose. It's called Kirsten Polson. It does beautifully. It gets as tall as this rock stake that we have our name on it. It's chipping away, but and it just blooms beautifully too, nonstop. It's a single rose, a fuchsia color single rose, but it is hardy and healthy and has not been succumbed to the gophers eating it. This is my Zinfandel Hydrangea, and it looks like it's doing pretty good. Now it has sturdier canes. It's a little older, and I did prune it back a little bit, but it's, look here, I'll show you. Right here, this one snapped. See, I'm going to have to cut that one off, and then there's a few others, but that's okay. It will still bloom beautifully. So that was my very first panicle hydrangea, and so I loved it. It's done well for me, though it blooms late for me. So I bought this one, Limelight Prime. Now this one was put in new this last fall, and you can see where the freeze zapped it right here, and because it had all new growth put out, and it kind of froze it back. So I will trim those off, and you can see there's new growth coming up from the bottom. So we're going to be doing okay. And it will soon develop strong canes like the Zinfandel back there has. There's a lot of things that are coming back in this bed. So like this Monarda, this one is a red. I think it's Jacob Klein. And I also have a purple one called Purple Rooster. Both of these get really tall. They do spread by runners. You can see some coming over here. And I just dig it out because I don't want it taking over. And if you want to grow Monarda that doesn't, so try to find one that doesn't send out quite such vigorous runners. If you want a big patch of it, then put it in the area and just let it go, and it will fill in. This is the other hardy geranium I have. This one is Elky. This one has little pink flowers. And it also, if you prune it back after a bloom, it will keep re-blooming beautifully. And it's just a wonderful little ground cover. It's beautiful at the feet of roses because it can get like a foot tall, and then it kind of covers the knobby knees of different roses. So that's just one of its benefits. Down here, a lupin that seeded itself, and it's coming up. I do believe these are blue, but I am not certain since it reseeded itself. My iris are really starting. Now let's take a view down across the front garden. Down there, that chicken pen, little chicken house is going to go. I'm going to put a bench there with an arbor and put some climbing roses on it, so it'll be like a backdrop between the front garden and the driveway, which is just back there where that little greenhouse building is. That greenhouse building's coming down. That was a temporary structure. And you can see we're starting to get a fence up. My Eden Rose, which is up over the arbor, is going to be full of blooms really soon, before you know it. Let's go check out something else that really does well for me when the gophers don't eat it. I had tons, but I know the gophers ate them. And that's the Grape Hyacinths. Some people dislike them because they do spread so readily, but if you've got critters like me that eat them, then they keep them under control. I wish they didn't eat them as much as they do, but I enjoy the color in the spring. And pretty much that's it. Oh, I'll share the tulips down in the barrels with the roses. I wanted to show you this. This is Sky Pencil. And it's supposed to be a column. And I don't remember if I shared this when I planted it. But it doesn't hold up well in the snow. It's not strong enough. So I'm going to have to support it with a post or something. I think I'm going to dig these up. They're not going to work here. And the boxwood right next to it got kind of froze back too. and beat up. I don't know. I think the boxwoods I can trim down and keep stocky enough that the snow won't hurt them as much. But the sky pencil definitely didn't work. So I think it's sky pencil holly. I'll have to look that up. I can't remember. I hate it when I can't remember. But look at these beautiful tulips. These were from the Color Blends mixture that I put in, not this last fall, but the fall before. And look, they came back. And despite all the freeze, snow, etc., they're still looking pretty. My ajuga is about to bloom. This is another one of those ground covers that people either love it or they hate it, because it can be quite vigorous. I have no problem in just digging out where I don't want it as it starts to spread, but I like it filling in because it chokes out weeds, etc., while looking pretty. Now, my boxwood back there did just fine. It didn't really get squished by the snow, so I guess it depends on where it's at in the garden or how new it is. That one, even though it looks so short, that one is like 3 years old. But that was kind of a dry spot until I set up my drip system last year, so it might have struggled and just got tough. The lime thyme, I love it as a ground cover. Lime thyme all along here. It's this chartreuse green in the spring, and then it kind of mellows out to a deeper green. And also when it gets a little rangy, I just weed eat it back and then it fills back in. So this area, I have to confess, I haven't tackled it yet. Look, it's full of weeds, but it also has a lot of my iris in it. Some of the daffodils got planted here. This is where I'm going to put in some cutting flowers like zinnias and other annuals that are really easy to sow directly, and then with the drip they'll get watered and etc. So I haven't decided about perennials to put in here. So my roses are in the barrels because of the gophers. And I put some clematis by the posts of our new little picket fence. So clematis will climb that. And look at this barrel. This was level. And gophers tunneled under it and they undermined it. So now it's leaning. We're going to have to fix that. I do have cages I know how to make now. I learned how to make cages to put the roses in the roots so that I could bury them in the ground again, rather than having them in barrels. But that's for another day. We'll get that done. So as I said, everything's in process. Over here is a whole bed that I need to tackle. Weedville. But it's on the list. You can only tackle one little piece at a time. And why am I showing you a garden that needs so much work? Because I want you to see how it starts and then how it ends up looking gorgeous as ever. My clematis there on the front porch, they all are, both of them are filled with buds that are going to be just gorgeous. Look at these peonies. They're getting ready. They got little buds on them. These ones I don't have cages on yet, so I did buy the materials to make some more cages, supports for them. This one is right by this Bobo Hydrangea that I really trimmed back hard, and they did fine in the freeze. And here's another Bobo. I've had these here 3 years. They've not done well. They have not been pretty like I wanted. I don't know if it's because they don't get enough sun, if they haven't gotten enough water in our drought winters. I don't know, but I'm going to give them one more year here, and then I will move them, because sometimes it's just a matter of right plant, right place. And if they're struggling or not doing what you want them in one place of your garden, move them to another, and you may be surprised at how much better they do. And here is another. Some of these peonies here I bought at Costco, I think 2 of them, and then 2 I dug up from a friend's garden. She was getting rid of them. But look at this clematis, just full. This one is either Killian Donahue or Nellie Moser. I don't know which, but you can see it got a little bit of damage from that freeze right there, those leaves, but I think the buds did fine. Now, I didn't trim all of this back. This is all from last fall, or, I left it. This is a number 2 pruning type. I leave it because I get earlier blooms. As soon as it's done blooming, I will trim it back and I will get a rebloom on these. So, and this one's the same, but filled with buds. Let's see, there's the bud right there. Right there. Isn't it pretty? Hopefully it's coming into, I can't see without my glasses on. These barrels are going to be a work in process. They have been here 20 years, and look, they're falling apart. So I think I need to replace them so that I can put something in them. Either that, or I will remove them and put a shade-tolerant rose here to climb up and over. There are some beautiful shade-tolerant roses. They won't bloom as often in a shady spot, but they will bloom. And I don't know. We'll see what I decide to put there. But over there is my prize. I'm going to get set up. This is a retractable hose. And I really need that because I have a hard time pulling up my hoses so they're not just everywhere. Let's turn around here. Another project down here is my little pond my nephews dug for me, and we're putting rocks around it. Now the weeds are filling in, so I need to dig that out, and I'm going to put rocks and sand and succulents in here. So I think that pretty much takes us around our front garden. So I hope you enjoyed the front garden tour, and we'll tune in when I update you. Now, how often I update you is going to vary with how my summer plays out, but I will do my very best to keep you all up to date for those who really want to see it transform. I hope to see you in my next video.